Oh, good morning, everybody. Just getting out of the chiropractor this morning. And yesterday, you probably didn't see it because it was marked, the video I did yesterday was marked not to go to subscribers because it was not a video that fits at all in my channel. It's something that I wanted to kind of play around with. And it was they call these things reaction videos, where you take like a performance, I did a musical performance, and you're basically allowed to request to use the copyright for the performance under what they call fair use. And the fair use is that I'm reacting to it, you're seeing me on the screen with the performance, and I'm adding something to that. I'm shaking quite a bit here, see if I can get that to stop. So here's what I did, and if you want to see this, just go to my channel and you can see it. There is this epic performance by Hart, Ann and Nancy Wilson, of a cover of Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. And it was back years ago at the Kennedy Center Honors. So the three Led Zeppelin guys were in the audience. They're doing this amazing cover. I mean, it just the quality of it just blows me away. But the reason I did the reaction video is there are literally maybe hundreds of reaction videos on this very thing out there, and I've seen many of them, and there are details, sort of, I would consider kind of behind the scenes details in this performance that are rarely mentioned. And certainly all the ones that I mentioned, boy, it's really shaking a lot. I hope it works out when I edit it and the stabilization takes care of it. If not, it'll be a very annoying video to watch. So I included those details in my reaction, and to me, it takes a profound sort of musical performance that evokes emotion and creates even a deeper emotion when you understand what's going on there. In particular, I mean that Led Zeppelin was originally a band with four guys, and the drummer, his name was John Bonham, and at like the peak of their career, John died unexpectedly, and the band was so devastated, they said, we were, with him gone, there is no Led Zeppelin. And basically they quit. And since then, they've done a few one-off performances, but certainly haven't toured or released albums since then. And that was, 1980, right? So that's 24 years ago. They're widely recognized as maybe one of the, if not the greatest rock and roll bands. And this cover that was done was, there are many that say this is their greatest song, Stairway to Heaven. And one of the really unique things about this is, in the performance, the drummer backing up Hart in this performance was John Bonham. It was Jason Bonham, John Bonham's son. And he looks remarkably like his father. Certainly much older now, and even in this performance, which was over 10 years ago, I believe, older than his father, who died at 32. And several of the one-off performances they've done, they've invited Jason to be the drummer with them. There was a very deep connection between the band members, and one of the details that people rarely point out because they don't realize what they're seeing is Jason, while he's playing the drums, is wearing a black bowler hat, And he's wearing that for a very particular reason. He's wearing it because that was his father's signature. His father wore bowler hats. And that detail comes in not only with Jason wearing the hat, but it comes in later in the performance in a way that, in case you go see it, I don't want to spoil it for you, but it underscores really the profound emotional connection between these guys, the band sitting in a balcony watching this performance, and the very obvious emotion on their faces. And it's clearly not just about, you know, some people out there doing a great cover of one of their songs. It's more about the loss of John and the presence of Jason and their tribute to John. It's a really powerful thing. And when you have all those details, it makes the performance that much more meaningful. You know, I'm not a huge music guy. I don't listen to music on the regular really at all, and I don't know much about music. But I have been watching this performance, this Kennedy Center performance, multiple times a year, every year. And I get moved every single time I watch the performance. I get emotionally moved every single time. So anyway, the bottom line is, as probably expected, the video went out there, and YouTube really pushed it out right away. They pushed it out to almost immediately to like 2,000 people. I was really surprised. You know, one of the things that they tell you is, if you do a video that's outside your channel, outside your niche, uncheck the box that says, you know, give it to your subscribers, because if you do that, it'll blast it out to a wider audience, which is exactly what it did. It almost immediately 2,000 what they call impressions, where it's put in front of people to potentially click on and watch. And there's a statistic that you look for that is the click rate. What percentage of people click on your video? And, you know, a really good one is 10% plus. A decent one is 5 to 6. You know, 3 to 4 is not horrible. You know, I don't think I've seen much under 3 on my channel. Well, for this first 2,000, it was 1. And I looked at the graph of it, and there were points in time where it was 0. 0 people clicked on it. So after the first couple of thousand impressions, of course, the YouTube system said, oh, we're not going to send this video out. No one's clicking on it. No one likes it. And it's, you know, this subject is definitely oversaturated. If you, you know, go into YouTube and say, I want to, you know, you type in the search box, Kennedy Center Honor Stairway to Heaven, boom, you're going to get pages and pages of these reaction videos. And, you know, a lot of them are music experts. There are people that like voice coaches, and, you know, they'll go through the video and they'll stop it at certain places, and they'll talk about the voice techniques, and they'll talk about the music and the arrangement, and they'll go on with all these things that I know nothing about. Also, you know, younger people will do first time ever hearing Stairway to Heaven, so they react to this, and of course they're blown away. And I guess the more successful ones are, you know, people really emote, you know, what basically in 2/3 of the screen, you have the performance, then you have your face up in the corner there, and people are watching the performance and watching you react. And I think that often the ones that do well are the people that are really reacting and emoting, and I really didn't do that. I was just sort of naturally reacting to it. So, but, I guess the mission was I wanted people to see this piece the way that I did, with knowing about the death of John Bonham and Jason being there in the bowler hats. And the other thing that happens that really is powerful, that most of these videos, they cut it off and you don't even see it. At the end of the performance, everybody stands up. There's a very special audience. Barack and Michelle Obama were in the audience, and lots of famous people in the audience, and everyone's standing up and applauding, standing ovation for Heart's cover of Stairway to Heaven. And suddenly the front of the stage is filled with recognizable people, and they're facing the audience, and they're clapping, and you notice the musicians and everyone involved in the performance, they're clapping, and it's like you realize they're not clapping for their performance. Then you notice the audience has turned around, and what everyone is doing, they transition from giving a standing ovation to Heart, Ann and Nancy Wilson, which they absolutely deserved it, and they turn and face the balcony in the back, and they are applauding Led Zeppelin. Is what they're doing. And I'd say 90% of the reaction videos, they don't even show that. They cut it off at the end of the song. It's a remarkable tribute. And the first time I saw this on YouTube, I was reading the comments, and a comment that really stuck with me was, what we just saw were rock legends playing to rock gods. And I'm like, yeah, that's what they saw. That's what was there. That's what that was. Led Zeppelin, that was a snapshot of a moment in time, the Led Zeppelin years. I remember in 1977, I went away to college, and I was in a dorm, and I had a roommate. His name was John. I remember walked in, and John had long blonde hair. He was kind of a hippie looking guy, and he had a stereo and everything. And he's a real nice guy, though, journalism major. We got along very, very well. And he's like, hey man, have you ever heard Stairway to Heaven? And I'm like, I don't know what that is. And he goes, listen to this piece of music, man. It's really cool. And he puts on an album, Stairway to Heaven, and that's the first time I heard it. And I thought it was pretty cool, but I didn't appreciate it as deeply now when I was 17 then, and I'm 64 now. And I didn't weep hearing Stairway to Heaven when I was 17, but at 64 I get a little teary, especially when I watch that performance and the deep meanings around it. So anyway, I'm gonna, at the end of this video, I'm gonna put you can click on the video that I'm talking about. And I realize, as far as reaction videos, it wasn't that great. There's some technical prowess you need to have to make that work, where you're reacting to it and you're starting and stopping. There was some, thank God it was free software that I got, and it took me a couple hours to figure out how to make the starting and stopping and the sound and everything work. So, but that was an education. There's maybe some other things that I might do. This is interesting too, is that when you upload it, you immediately get copyright, and it says you can't monetize your copyright. So you have to go through and you have to dispute the copyright claim and say that you make a case for this is fair use, right? And fair use, it is copyrighted material, But the fair use is that if you take a piece of copyrighted work and you transform it in any kind of significant way, whether through satire or commentary or whatever, then it's considered fair use of that copyrighted material. And interestingly enough, there were 2 copyright hits on the piece, and one of them was, for the music, the whole thing. And then there was another one from a talk show or something, and I think it was a few seconds of a piece of it that was, I don't know if it was some kind of mistake, but one of them within overnight got released and the other one hasn't, so I'll just wait for that. But what they do is they go ahead when you do that, and they run ads and they let you accumulate the income, but they hold it in escrow, meaning that if ultimately you don't get the authorization, then all that ad revenue goes to the copyright holder and not to you. But in this case, I think I looked a few minutes ago, and I think it was like 120 views, which is like, not even a penny in income. So the monetization of it really doesn't matter at all. But I thought it was a pretty interesting thing that you had to go through and you have to type out, why do you think this is fair use? And I did a thing where I typed out what I did and how I thought it transformed the experience for a viewer, because I give this additional information. So that's kind of my story today. I'm at home at my site, kind of sitting here and continuing to talk. But I thought some of you might be interested in this stuff. So anyway, if you've lasted this long, you must have been pretty interested. So thank you for hanging in there with me, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And I'm going to go in and hang out with Dottie and George. Take care. Bye.